Yo, what's going on, guys? So welcome back to part 2, and to kick it off, I'm going to be opening up the project settings, and I'm going to be adding that input action as I promised last video. And this one's just going to be for toggling the build mode. I'm going to be setting mine to the middle mouse button just to make it easy and simple, but after that I'm going to be opening or reopening back up the player blueprint, and going to be implementing both the interact and the toggle mode input actions. And starting off with the interact, I'm basically just going to be calling the on interact interface function, and the target is going to be, of course, the UI widget. And from there, we're going to be, or I guess for the boolean, we're going to have 3 conditions. The first 2 are going to be to check to see if we are in the build mode and to see if we're in the interact range, and the third one's kind of optional. But I just made it so, or I just basically am checking to see if the key is being held down or not. I mean, you don't have to, obviously. I just found it to be a cleaner of effect, me personally, rather than just clicking it like once, rather than just clicking the button once and it just slowly builds up. But that's just me personally. But anyways, moving on to the toggle mode input action. We're basically just going to be flip-flopping between true or false, and you're going to be setting the build mode to that. And then from there, we're going to be calling the on build mode activate event dispatcher. Then moving on from there, we're going to be pulling off, and we're going to be checking to see if the widget is valid or not. And if it is, then we're basically going to be setting the render opacity to 0, and we're going to clear it. And then we're going to be setting the tick actor. The tick function, pardon me, to whatever the build mode is set to. And then if the widget doesn't, if it doesn't exist, then we're just basically just going to be setting the tick actor, or the tick function. I keep saying tick actor for some reason. Tick function to whatever the build mode is, and we'll be going from there. Alright, so now I'm going to be setting up the blueprint widget for the icon, and I'm going to be importing 2 images and setting up the materials for them as well. And just as a little side note, I'm going to be linking the 2 images down in the description below, so if you do want to download them, by all means go for it. But I will say, as a little disclaimer, I don't know if they're for commercial use or not. I didn't really check too much into it, figuring because this is, a tutorial. But if you do plan on, of course, publishing anything, then I would for sure look more into it. But and also as well, I'm just gonna leave the part where I set up the materials just for the people who I guess want that stuff, or want that in the video, because I know how it is sometimes to for some tutorials to cut certain things out. So I'll just leave it in. By all means, though, you can skip it if you want. So nothing really too important is going on here, but yeah. Alright, so now we're going to be creating the progress bar, or I guess circle portion of the UI, and I'm just going to leave a link in the description to the tutorial that I got this from, just because I don't really know that much about materials, at least as of right now, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this type of stuff. So if you do want any more information, though, for sure check that link and go to the tutorial, and he'll easily obviously explain it a lot better than what I can. Alright, so enough with the widget and the material setup there. We still have to set up some stuff, but it's mainly like some variables and stuff like that. But anyways, from here, we're going to be pulling out from the event construct. We're going to be getting the material from the progress bar. We're going to be setting in a variable, and we're going to be also setting the decimal value to 0. So obviously, of course, when we play, there's going to be nothing there. Well, it's just going to be as if nothing's there. Then we're going to be, of course, implementing the onInteract function from the blueprint interface. We're going to be running a check to see if the key is held down, of course, with the other stuff, you know, if we're in of course, build mode and interact range and all that. Then if we are, then we're going to be setting a timer by event. And what the timer is going, of course, to be doing is basically it's trying to somewhat replace event tick, or at least ticking, because I try not to, you know, tick at least too much stuff. Of course there's some things where, you know, you have to tick certain things, but I try not to use it when I can. So, but anyways, from there, but that's where also as well the time interval variable comes into play. I set mine to 0.5 seconds because I found if you set it too high, like the progress bar starts to like jitter a little bit. And also, with that being said, the two variables that you don't need are the radial amount and the progression. That's just I'll explain why later, but I'll just leave that as a disclaimer right now. So don't add the radial amount and the progression variables. Just heads up right now. But anyways, from the timer, of course, I'm also gonna have a variable for the timer amount so we can clear it later. And oh yeah, my bad. Sorry. Lost my train of thought there for a sec. Anyway, so from the set timer by event, we're going to be pulling out, of course, from the event, creating a new one, and we're going to be checking where we're going to be running an if check to see if the decimal amount is less than the build amount, which basically means if, of course, if the decimal amount, which is the progression bar, is less than the actual build amount. And of course, if it isn't, then of course we want to obviously keep adding to the progression bar. And then of course that's where we're adding the time interval to the decimal amount, and we just keep adding that to it, of course, which will get divided by later into the actual the progression bar. And this is where I mean where the actual radial amount and the progression is, where the code really just where you don't need it. Originally I was going for a Battlefield 5 type of setup where it builds it like one by one instead of actually like building it slowly and going around, which I initially built the one like in Battlefield 5, but that was like it just didn't really look as nice, so that's why I kind of switched it up to the more like slowly progressing around rather than the one by one type of progression bar. So that's kind of why you don't need to add the code for the radial amount or the progression. So that's just also as well a little time saver there for you. And from there, so you don't need the if check after the decimal amount, after setting the decimal amount. So you can just go straight to the set vector parameter value, and you're going to be setting the color and the decimal amount, and obviously that's going to be divided by the build amount as well. So that'll give that nice little going around effect. And I'm trying to check real quick. All right, and if the of course if the decimal amount and the build amount, if the decimal amount of course is greater than the build amount, then we're just gonna basically clear the timer, and we're gonna call the build complete event dispatcher. and we're also going to change, or well, I guess get the material for the, I guess that little like wrench in the middle, and we're going to be changing that to green. So that's or of course, yeah, that's just what I said too, but you know, and yeah, so that's, oh well, and I guess at the back at the, I guess at the if statement back at the onInteract function, of course when it equals false, we're just going to just be clearing the event, the timer, pardon me. So that's really just about it, and yeah. Alright, so from here I'm just going to reopen up the player blueprint, because apparently I forgot to add the show widget function from the buildable blueprint, so I don't know, that's still beyond me, but anyways, I'm just going to show as well some like more miscellaneous stuff, and I mean not really some miscellaneous, but some of the stuff that's of course still important, but I just forgot in the tutorial, or initially forgot, but just a little small stuff just in case you know, anybody wants it, but. And also as well, I'm also going to show the material for the like the clear and see-through material, because I will say it does look a lot better like on an actual mesh than it just like a default cube, because you know it just does. But probably because they're the more poly count in general. But anyways, that's besides the point. I'll at least show the initial like material setup, because what I did to get that like clear and see-through material was I just took it from the engine content and kind of screwed with it a little bit to kind of get what I needed it to at least fit somewhat what I wanted it to do, or what it to look like. Pardon me, I can't really think right now. But so I'll just show the initial setup so you can obviously copy that, and yeah, let's go from there. Alright, so well guys, that's just about the end of the tutorial. Hopefully you all enjoyed it and it was helpful to you in some way, shape, or form. As always, I apologize if I didn't explain anything too well or too like in depth, but of course if you do have any questions or concerns, just leave them in the comments section below, or preferably I would like it if you would DM me on Twitter, because Twitter is just a lot more direct, and plus I'm always on Twitter. And you know, if you also as well, if you do enjoy this type of content, then consider subscribing, and also as well consider also looking at my Twitter as well, because that's also all I really retweet and potentially post every now and then. I'll probably start posting more about video updates in general over there as well. So consider as well taking a look over there. And until then, you all stay safe and take care.